So, Anthony Richardson has been named the Week 1 starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And that is significant news for two reasons. First of all, he was the number 4 overall pick in the NFL draft. But second of all, it is significant because he is a very raw prospect. This is not one of those plug and play guys from college. This is a guy who has a lot of concerns about his inaccuracy, about his footwork, and about his overall mechanics as a whole. Most people thought no matter where he was drafted, that he probably wouldn't be a week 1 starter just because he was so raw and that he could probably use some time in the oven. But the Colts are going to throw him out there week 1 and they are going to let him start for the majority of the season. As I just mentioned, Anthony Richardson does have some negative traits as a player. And we saw some of those in his first preseason game against the Bills. He looked a little erratic, he made some bad decisions, and he made some off platform throws, one of which got intercepted. But for every negative trait that Anthony Richardson has, I think he makes up for it with very, very special physical tools. First of all, dude is a tank. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. He is a machine. And his arm talent is truly special. He's got a very, very strong arm, and he could really whip it into some tight spots. Now, before I get into some expectations about what I think Anthony Richardson is able to do in his rookie year, let me talk about his situation. I think he landed in a good spot in Indianapolis, and the main reason I think that is because of new head coach Shane Steichen. If you guys remember, Shane Steichen was not only the Eagles' offensive coordinator for the last couple of years that led Jalen Hurts for his development, but he also worked with the Chargers during Justin Herbert's rookie year, so he has a proven track record of two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, I also think that Indianapolis also benefits from a really good running back in Jonathan Taylor. I think the young receivers are pretty good in Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. And besides last season when they really fell apart, the offensive line for the last few seasons has been pretty solid. Now, looking ahead to Anthony Richardson's rookie year, I want to bring up 3 guys that I think make a lot of sense to compare him to in terms of their athletic profiles and their overall skill sets as rookie quarterbacks. And those 3 guys are going to be Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, and Robert Griffin III. Starting with Lamar Jackson because he got the least amount of playing time out of any of them. Lamar Jackson started 7 games in his rookie season, threw for 1,201 yards, threw for 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, ran for 695 yards and 5 touchdowns. All 3 of these guys are just dynamic athletes. I think Lamar Jackson is he's more shifty as a runner than I think Anthony Richardson or some of these other guys were, but very similar in the sense that he came out of college, was very raw, probably was not ready to be a week 1 starter, suffered with some inaccuracy issues, and we saw glimpses in his rookie season of how good Lamar could be. Obviously, he followed up by winning the MVP award in the next season with the Ravens. Moving on to 2 guys that I think profiled Anthony Richardson a little bit better. Let's talk about RG3, who debuted in 2012 with the Washington Redskins, played in 15 games, threw for 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, ran for 815 yards, and another 7 scores. Now, RG3 really burst onto the scene, right? Kind of like Anthony Richardson, a guy with a lot of physical tools, was a great athlete. Unfortunately, we all know RG3 was not able to stay healthy, but his rookie year set the league on fire. I mean, for him to have beat out Andrew Luck, who was considered one of the greatest prospects of all time in Rookie of the Year voting, that was big news. I think people really forget how special RG3's rookie season was. I don't expect that from Anthony Richardson. However, I think if you're looking at a guy able to do a lot of the same things on the ground that RG3 was, and let's also remember that RG3 had a really good head coach in Mike Shanahan, father of Kyle Shanahan. And if you guys know anything about the Shanahan system, it's very quarterback friendly. RG3 was able to thrive. He was able to make plays on his own. It was a great rookie year for RG3. And I think to end it off, let's compare him to the guy he gets compared to all the time. That's Cam Newton. Cam Newton quite literally set the league on fire in his rookie season. 16 games, over 4,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 700 rushing yards, and 14 rushing touchdowns. Now, this to me is very, very encouraging for Anthony Richardson because Cam Newton completely burst onto the scene. He went to the worst team in the year prior, the Carolina Panthers, and not only was Cam Newton a strong-armed, pretty accurate quarterback in his rookie season, he was just bulldozing dudes. I mean, he was just running dudes over. The goal line offense of the Carolina Panthers was just so OP when he was their quarterback. And that is something that I think Anthony Richardson brings to the table. He's a big dude. He's bigger than Lamar. He's bigger than Robert Griffin III. Size-wise, he profiles very well to Cam Newton. Cam Newton, at the end of the day, could just run dudes over. He was fast enough to run away from him, and he was strong enough to run through him. That's the floor with Anthony Richardson, right? At worst, you're getting dominant runner of the football. And at best, you're getting a guy like Cam Newton who was able to throw for over 4,000 passing yards with pretty good weapons. I think Norv Turner was his offensive coordinator that year, and he's had a proven track record to be a pretty good offensive coordinator. Good weapons, had Steve Smith, had Greg Olsen, all those guys, right? Anthony Richardson, I'm not expecting 4,000 passing yards this season. But I do think if we're looking at a guy that could just bully dudes and score touchdowns easily, and he doesn't have to overcomplicate the game for himself, he doesn't have to know all the X's and O's right away. He can just dominate with his legs. Anthony Richardson is that guy. So to get into my final kind of stat predictions for Anthony Richardson, I wrote down a few things, and I think this is a pretty good season for Anthony Richardson. If I was a Colts fan, I would be very, very encouraged by this. I think Anthony Richardson, assuming he starts, 16 or 17 games this season, I think he can throw for 3,000 passing yards. I think he's probably going to throw for about 22, 23 touchdowns. I think he'll probably throw 14 or 15 interceptions. Like I said, the inaccuracy is still going to be an issue. And I think he's going to be able to put together 700 rushing yards and another probably 7 touchdowns. And I do think this guy will be a touchdown machine on the ground. But that is kind of my expectations for Anthony Richardson in his rookie season. I want you guys to let me know down below how you think it's going to go in Indianapolis in 2023. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will peep you guys later. Peace out.